GERE
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to this podcast. If you're looking to support this podcast and this network, visit shopgear.com. That's shopgere.com. It will take you right to amazon.com, to your Amazon account, and you can do all of your Amazon shopping. The difference is using our link versus going to Amazon's link is that you are telling Amazon that GERE Network referred you, and they end up giving us a small percentage of your purchase, which helps out this program and this network entirely. And of course, if Amazon's not your thing, it's understandable. On GereNetwork.com, GERE Network.com, if you click on the top bar that says donate to GERE, there's several different PayPal buttons. You can donate to us as well if Amazon isn't your thing. Your support is vital to helping the GERE Network maintain this programming, this quality programming, and continuing our growth through the year. As always, thank you very much for your support and your listens and your downloads and your likes and your shares from all of us here at the GERE Radio Network. This is a GERE Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Mr. Perez, and you're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, brought to you exclusively on GERE Network. Listen in.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is episode 99 and a half of the Better Live Than Dead podcast. We are calling this one the RumbleCast. Why, you ask? I'll be glad to tell you. The Royal Rumble, one of the greatest wrestling pay-per-views in the history of wrestling, is happening this weekend. And we are so very excited to be joining you today to talk about it. I'm Ryan Wolfe. You know my voice, at WolfeBLTD on Twitter, joined on the phone by our good friend and colleague and one of Western New York's most well-known wrestlers, JC Money, John Cimino, at the JC Money, and joining me in person, another very well-known Western New York wrestler and my brother. So it works out.
Brava.
Eric Emanon, at Eric Emanon on Twitter. Guys, how you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Episode 9.5.
You got to do the Lewis intro.
9.
That's my homage to my former manager.
And I'm doing well over here. I am sipping on a coffee that has Thin Mint creamer in it right now. It is literally the most amazing cup of coffee I've ever had.
I'm drinking rum and coke.
That's fair. I'm not drinking anything because I got to drive home here in a little bit, and it's snowing outside, so I'm not going to do that. I'll drink some water though. But
yes.
You know, I don't want to mess around here. I'm going to jump head first because there's a lot to talk about. The Royal Rumble itself is a fantastic pay-per-view. It's a fantastic show, story, because everything on the Royal Rumble card has a purpose. In wrestling, we all know this, that sometimes there are stories that have no point, and they're stupid, and they're a waste of time, and they're a waste of breath, and a waste of life, and you'd rather not see it happen. But with everything that happens at the Royal Rumble on Sunday, we'll start storylines that will last until WrestleMania. WrestleMania 33, which is coming up here just a few weeks away, handful of weeks away. A couple months at this point. Who cares? Weeks, months, who cares? But starting off, just kind of a blanket guess here, because we're just going to, like I said, jump in head first, waste no time. Royal Rumble match. Because I don't want to talk too much about the matches at the Royal Rumble, because that's going to be ending stories to start new stories. The Royal Rumble match itself. Right now, before I ask you guys for your predictions, as of this morning, Randy Orton has skyrocketed into the favorite, the betting favorite, according to Sky Bet. The odds are 10 to 11 odds for Randy Orton to win the Royal Rumble. Undertaker coming in at second, tied with Goldberg, 4 to 1 odds. Who do you guys have winning the Royal Rumble here on Sunday?
So,
Eric, go first.
I had talked about this earlier this morning, and there's a few different people that I have on my list. Now, I can give you who I want, who I think, and then kind of the one we all are really thinking about. The one I want is a returning Finn Balor. I would love to see him come back, on Sunday at the Alamo Dome, and I would love to see him just get the reaction that he had when he won the Universal Championship, and take that leap to have his WrestleMania moment. and win the title back and get his chance to, run and make his name with it. The one I think is going to win it, and it's really tough to say it because I think it's going to come down to The Undertaker. I think The Undertaker is going to win it. I think he's going to go into WrestleMania. I think he's going to go after the WWE Heavyweight Champion, which I am guessing is going to end up being John Cena. And I think he's going to win it all, put the hat in the ring, walk off into the sunset. And I think that is because of the fact that, as I've discussed plenty of times before, John Cena's 15 title reigns. He wins it against AJ. That's 16. That ties him with Ric Flair. Loses it to Undertaker and then wins it back right after Undertaker leaves. That puts him at 17, making him the highest reigning world heavyweight champion of all time. 17 title reigns. That's insanity. That's my prediction for that. And then I think the real underdog here, the real sleeper pick that a lot of people kind of have been worrying about, and Saturday night is really going to tell. Saturday night is going to tell everything about that. Is Samoa Joe. I think Samoa Joe could be a sleeper pick that will come in out of nowhere and could win it all going into WrestleMania.
I'm gonna have to balk on your statements there, Eric. First of all, when it comes to NXT talent, and I know that Triple H has done a tremendous job with bringing in talent from all over the world, regardless of promotion affiliation. In the soon-to-be promotion formerly known as TNA Wrestling,
yep.
He is not segregated against any of them. I mean, AJ Styles obviously being the WWE champion. That says enough there. But when you're talking about having a surprise NXT guy like a Samoa Joe or a Shinsuke Nakamura come on up to and headline WrestleMania, that's not the WWE way, unfortunately. So I don't see that happening. I see them coming onto the Royal Rumble. And perhaps making a significant enough splash that you could think during the match, hey, maybe this is a possibility. But realistically, it's not going to happen. What I'm here, I've heard a lot of different things, and I will say this is that I love the WWE for this is because they have adapted to the internet, they've adapted to the IWC, they have adapted to all of the spoiler sites and the old school dirt sheets, and they have figured out how to create the mystery.
Yep.
They've done it every year for the past 3 or 4 years with the Royal Rumble match. So I honestly couldn't tell you who I think is going to win. I could tell you maybe a list of 3 people and why. But for the sake of this podcast, who do I think is going to win it? Braun Strowman.
I'm not mad at that answer, and that's also another one that was brought up to me, and I'm not mad at it because of the fact that with The Undertaker where he's at, with the Big Show where he's at, with Kane where he's at in their careers, their respective careers, mostly part-time work. You got a guy like Braun Strowman, huge guy, great talent, somebody who came up in the WWE system, if built right and able to do his own thing after turning on Bray Wyatt. I really think that he could be the next big guy.
I think that's what Vince McMahon is looking for, and I think that's what they are looking for is that he fits that mold. You know what I'm saying? He's big. He's a big. Vince McMahon always loves the big guys. Triple H, on the other hand, is more like I like the wrestlers.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But Braun Strowman is kind of like that in between. Like he's not so super limited. He doesn't need to do spot after spot. He doesn't need to be a spot fest type wrestler.
Absolutely.
He can do the most elementary moves, and those can be devastating. He could drop a regular elbow drop, and that could, be more devastating than it would be if you or I dropped.
Yeah, and we've watched him. We've watched him go 1-on-1 with guys like Sami Zayn. Like Sami Zayn is not a big guy by any stretch of the imagination, but the stories that they told in their matches made it seem like just such a David and Goliath battle. Like there was so much story behind it, and I think he proved that he can go. So
for me,
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, John. I was just going to say, for me, I have bought into the Braun Strowman hype for sure. I mean, I'm kind of over the big guys doing being the best. You can't beat the big guys. If you're not big, you can't be champion. Stuff like that. Like what they did with Roman Reigns. Don't let it be natural. Don't force it. With that being said, I mean, again, reading the dirt sheets this time of year is dangerous. I understand that. I've been a wrestling fan almost my entire life. I know that. But judging by what the dirt sheets are saying, a lot of the stuff is lining up. And we could be seeing, I mean, first off, the big one, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles are saying the talks are neither of them are going into WrestleMania as a champion. Not surprising because they're going their own separate ways, but there's going to be a lot of change at the top. And there's going to be a lot of things happening. I mean, there's been talks of and this is showing with the betting pool changing. Randy Orton winning the Rumble, Bray Wyatt winning the WWE Championship, Universal Championship before WrestleMania, and then Orton and Wyatt at WrestleMania. A great finish to what has been a very interesting story between those two with Luke Harper as well.
Bray Wyatt would be winning the WWE World Championship, not the Universal.
Yeah, Universal is Raw.
It would be. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I don't. I'm just gonna say Raw and SmackDown. I don't even give a damn about too much confusion. I don't care. Anyways,
I gotta be honest with you. I'm still not. I have not bought into that Universal type.
It can be. Let's do it like this for future reference on the podcast. It'll be the Raw Championship and the SmackDown Championship. That way, there's no confusion. But he would win the SmackDown. He would win the SmackDown Championship. Orton and Wyatt at WrestleMania for that.
I could see that.
Now
that would be pretty cool.
And I'm kind of pushing things forward. I haven't given my prediction yet. I think I would love to see. I mean, just looking at the matches, I don't even really know.
Well, let me help you out here.
Maybe Undertaker. I mean, because at this point, like I was talking to Eric before the podcast a few days ago, and at this point, the Royal Rumble is going to be pushed around four guys. It's going to be four pillars of the Royal Rumble match: Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, and the guy who wins the match. Because I don't think Goldberg, Brock, or Undertaker are going to win the match, but I think one of those four guys, they'll be the four pillars of the WrestleMania match. I'd be cool with Braun Strowman because you're going to create a star. I would be okay with Randy Orton because you're going to tell a story. But aside from that, surprise me, because at this point, WWE's done a very good job of surprising people the past handful of years, like you said, John. But with the rumored WrestleMania card that we're going to go over here in a second, things are looking pretty damn good. I mean, at the top of the card, you've got Goldberg, you've got Brock Lesnar, as expected. We saw this happening once they had their last match and Goldberg crushed Lesnar. We all knew a WrestleMania rematch was coming.
Yeah.
But you know what? And this I was going to share on Talking Wrestling this week, a preseason special of Talking Wrestling, which was going to be really talking about IWF. But I was going to actually post it, talk about this on there. They were talking about. Oh crap! I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to run. What I'm going to do?
My daughter's running through here.
You think about it. I'm going to run down. Sorry, John. You think about it. I'm going to run down the card and then we'll go back.
Which card are you talking about? Are you talking WrestleMania? Okay.
We've got Goldberg, Lesnar.
This is rumored, right?
No, that's it. They were talking about Goldberg, Lesnar actually for the pay-per-view in between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
Well, there's reports coming out.
Different.
Dave Meltzer's reporting that Lesnar and Goldberg at WrestleMania could be for the WWE Raw Championship.
Wow.
Interesting.
That would be very interesting.
Seth Rollins.
I know that Goldberg has been talking about. Originally it was supposed to be one and done with him.
Yeah. And
then he's talking about how the young kids have respect, and he's enjoying this run, and he likes the fact that he can be a part timer, and everybody's okay with that, and like they're thinking that from what I'm reading, the rumor mill is that his run is going to be a little longer than just these three appearances.
Understandable
that he was signed up for.
Now, the annual Undertaker match, it started off as John Cena Undertaker. The rumor was championship versus career. That doesn't look to be happening right now. Right now, the rumor is, as of a few days ago, Undertaker versus Roman Reigns.
I would 100% be behind that.
I'm intrigued by it because I don't really know how to feel because
I could tell you exactly what the idea would be.
Okay.
Is the Undertaker would be giving Roman Reigns the rub. Now,
So-
whether or not the Undertaker would lose the match it remains to be seen, because I do not believe that this WrestleMania will be his last. I think next WrestleMania will be his last. But everybody's been saying for how long, Eric, that
Years.
this WrestleMania is going to be the Undertaker's last.
There are strong rumors out there as well that the Undertaker may be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. So that's also something to keep in mind too.
So the reason that I would think that this could be his last WrestleMania is because of where it is location wise. It is his home essentially. He's going out there and defending his home turf in the Alamo Dome. And Undertaker versus Roman Reigns.
The Royal Rumble's in the Alamo Dome.
I'm sorry, yeah. WrestleMania's in Orlando. So it's like, Undertaker, I can't see Undertaker versus Roman, because it's the Phenom, the Undertaker versus the King of Make Him Look Strong style, Roman Reigns. I don't see the selling point, but I don't see the selling point behind it, and I think that going into it, one of two things has to happen. Roman Reigns would have to beat him, and I don't think that the loss for the Undertaker would really matter that much anymore because he's already lost. So,
right.
if you were going to save that for somebody, it wouldn't have been Brock Lesnar. I would have saved it for, if you really wanted to make him look strong, save it for Roman Reigns. But you know what? That time has passed. There's a loss on the record. Beating him doesn't mean as much as it used to.
Well, that's true. That's true to an extent. However, the way that they built up that Brock Lesnar win, and the way that they are still continuing to treat it, and you have to credit Paul Heyman for this too, because
Yes.
he is by far the best, greatest manager, I dare say, in the history of almost to the Bobby Heenan level. Bobby Heenan, in my opinion, Bobby the Brain Heenan was the greatest manager in the history of the wrestling business. But Paul Heyman is a very, very close second.
Yes.
And the way that they have treated that monumental moment in WrestleMania 30 and in New Orleans, they made that mean something, and they made it continue to mean something. So, yeah, if Undertaker loses at WrestleMania now, well, he's already lost. But I don't see him losing at this WrestleMania. I can see, the only reason why I'm saying that I think next WrestleMania will be his last is because next WrestleMania is in New Orleans. And that would be his swan song. He returns to the scene that his most crushing defeat happened, overcomes it, he rides off into the sunset. So I don't think he'll be in the Hall of Fame this year. I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame next year.
I could see that.
He'll ride off into the sunset and retire as the greatest big man that ever wrestled.
But can we agree though on one thing, John, that if the year that he goes into the Hall of Fame, that's his final WrestleMania?
Absolutely.
Because I think they'll want to use that to kind of maximize, hey, this is it. This is legitimately it. Win or loss, win, lose, or draw. This is what's happening. Now, moving on to the next match, which we all saw this one coming for probably a year and a half or so. Really, ever since Seth Rollins joined the Authority with Triple H, we knew this was going to happen. It's an old school wrestling story. It's the student versus the teacher. The prodigy faces the teacher, and it's Triple H and Seth Rollins, and it's going to happen. It's probably going to be a damn good match because Seth Rollins can really put on a good show in the ring. And I don't think there's much to talk about this one because it's fairly cut and dry. We saw that they laid the pipe, the groundwork, dig the ditch to lay the pipe a couple, I think it was last week on Raw. Seth Rollins was in a match. Triple H's music hit. Triple H didn't come out. Seth Rollins lost because of it. Again,
He also lost his Rumble spot to Sami Zayn.
That was the match, yeah. So it's very prototypical. I think, that's about as good of a lock as we can get. Now, again, another match where it's almost like the student versus the teacher, Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. Now, this is an interesting match because, again, Kevin Owens is currently the Raw champion. Chris Jericho is currently the U.S. champion. Now, the talk has been it's going to be for the U.S. title, and obviously Owens would go over because Chris Jericho is going on tour with Fozzy. But the story has to come to a head at some point, and it's been a fantastic story with Owens having Chris Jericho as his best friend, as his utility knife, the guy who can bail him out any bad spot. Then Chris Jericho came up with a list of Jericho, because if there's anything Chris Jericho is good at, it's creating a very good gimmick. And that has been just another feather in the cap of Chris Jericho throughout a fantastic career of doing hilarious stuff. The list has been great.
I said this, incidentally, on the last Talking Wrestling podcast, the first preseason podcast of the Talking Wrestling show a couple of weeks ago. Chris Jericho, quite frankly, still at the top of his game, probably top in all time, and I'm talking about the entire history of pro wrestling. He's in my top 5.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing with Jericho, too, just kind of look back real fast, when he first came back and wrestled CM Punk, it was almost as if that was forced, and it just wasn't a good fit. So we thought Jericho was done. Jericho went away for a while, came back, and picked his guy, and said, I want to do a story with this guy. And ever since then, it's just been on a roll. And then Kevin Owens came along, and he kept on a roll. Worked with Kevin Owens. It's been absolutely fantastic. And it's almost like they work off each other so well. And I wouldn't be mad if this story went away for a while, and then when Jericho comes back, it picks right back up. But
absolutely.
Another kind of student prodigy type of deal, or student teacher type of deal. Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, we mentioned that. That could be, for lack of a better explanation, Bray Wyatt's coming out party. Because if Bray Wyatt becomes the SmackDown champion, he needs to beat a legitimate opponent. Not saying AJ Styles is not legitimate, or John Cena if he faces John Cena, if John Cena does win.
AJ Styles by far is the best wrestler on their roster.
Not saying it's illegitimate, but beating a guy of Randy Orton's stature and saying, no, I am for real the best. I rule over you. You can't beat me. I got you. And I would love to finally, after a year and a half or two of Bray Wyatt being the scary guy who always got rolled over, to finally see him be the scary guy doing the rolling over. That would be absolutely fantastic, I think, for not only for fans, but for the WWE itself, because they've been kind of poorly booking Bray Wyatt, and now they're starting to book him well, and his character is blossoming.
I think Bray Wyatt is probably one of the best guys they have on their roster character-wise right now.
Yeah.
He has taken something that in the time of sports entertainment where everything's supposed to be serious and it's wrestling and flips and guys with great bodies and great athletic ability, you have a guy like Bray Wyatt with the creepy music and the creepy character and just the way he carries himself in a match, in his promos, in his presence. He is something that is a breath of fresh air to the WWE.
To the WWE universe, you mean?
Yes.
The WWE universe.
Absolutely.
Stupid.
No, absolutely.
Not you, the name.
He really is. And I've been high on, and I'm not saying this as a biased person who's friends with Luke Harper. I'm saying this as a fan. The Wyatt family has been something that has really been fun to watch. Has been, completely, like, he's built himself to be, I don't necessarily want to say Undertaker for this generation, but in a sense, he's kind of got that aura with him.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Where he walks out, he's got that light and everything, and people are just listening to him. And yes, you get the stupid people that still chant his previous gimmick during his NXT days, which I won't say because it does him no justice, but you still get some people that still reference him as that. Bottom line, he has completely reinvented himself as Bray Wyatt. He is an incredible talent. He is, quite frankly, one of my, again, top 5. But this is not all-time top 5. This is top 5 my favorite people that I watch on a regular basis.
So I don't know if you've ever seen the R squared circle on Reddit. It's a forum for wrestling fans, and somebody actually wrote a backstory from Husky Harris to Bray Wyatt, and it went over the story of how Husky Harris got hurt and he went to a Haitian voodoo doctor and was like, I need to get fixed. What can you do to help heal me? And then the devil took over Husky Harris, and that's how Bray Wyatt came to be. The devil took over Husky Harris's body.
If only the WWE actually, if only WWE actually
And
did stories
I
like
remember reading it, and I was like, holy hell, that's actually like a really good backstory to the character. Like Husky Harris he is just the embodiment of the devil.
If only.
And that's who Bray Wyatt is. It's Husky Harris is just the what's the word I'm looking for? He is the I'm drawing a blank on the word.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
that. Me either.
I'm also downloading NES ROMs right now too.
But Husky Harris is literally he is the body, and then Bray Wyatt is the living character inside of him, and it was just insane reading the story that somebody had written just because they loved the character so much, but they wanted more of a backstory. You know, all we ever got was the vignettes of, you know, we're here. You know, and so it's like, you know, once we got the backstory of the Wyatt family, I felt it made it a little creepier and built the character a little bit more.
Now, running through a few matches here, 3 matches to be exact, that makes sense, that we saw coming. You've got Charlotte versus Bayley versus Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax for the Women's Championship. That makes sense. Put them on a big stage. Give us a great match. You've got Big Show versus Shaq, which has been rumored for a while, but they're in Orlando. Shaquille O'Neal is still a very large fan favorite in Orlando, thanks to the Magic. And that match is going to be, if nothing else, interesting to watch. But it'll be great. It'll get the WWE some positive publicity and all that fun stuff. So that'll be a nice little 5 or 10 minute match to watch. And then obviously
it's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which at this point they have no plans for Braun Strowman from what the dirt sheets are saying, which is shocking, seeing as how they've been booking him. But maybe the Battle Royal is where Braun Strowman wins, but I think that's too much of a downgrade for his character at this point.
No, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. I think that would be because they're building him up as a unstoppable giant. What better way to capitalize on that? Say you know, because I know I mentioned earlier that I think Braun Strowman might be put over in this, but let's just say an Undertaker and a Goldberg and a Lesnar all team up and eliminate, and they make it that Braun Strowman had to be teamed by 3 superpowers in order to be eliminated. Well, now he's being thrown into this Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which is named after arguably the greatest big man that ever wrestled prior to the Undertaker retirement. Now he's winning that Battle Royal. He's standing next to that trophy, which is as tall as he is. And now he is the new giant of professional wrestling, and he can start that off and do that. And do it better than, quite frankly, Baron Corbin has.
Yeah, that was a failure to launch right there. But I want to jump over to 2 potentially huge matches that are rumored at this point. Again, this whole card is rumored, but this card has been pretty solid throughout the silly season of WrestleMania and Royal Rumble season. But these 2 matches have popped up recently. First off, AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. Now they've been planting the seed with this match. I don't know if Shane McMahon maybe interferes in AJ Styles' match and costs him the title or what it may be, but I think that match, I know AJ Styles is a phenomenal wrestler. Obviously calls himself the Phenomenal One. But,
I was going to say pun intended.
Yeah, pun intended. But, I mean, if you can give me a good story as to why this is happening, I'll buy it. But if you don't, I don't care, honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Ryan. I don't really know that I would understand what the significance of that story would be, and maybe it would have to be at the Royal Rumble, where something happens, or there's like a false finish that almost on the same level of CM Punk versus The Rock, where there was some sort of false finish and the match ended up getting restarted and the good guy won. Something similar to that.
I say what
some kind of false finish that AJ Styles ends up beating John Cena, but here comes Shane McMahon to save the day and be like, no, the integrity of SmackDown and blah 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 blah, and let's restart the match. And then John Cena goes over and wins the record 16th, well not record, ties the record 16th WWE Championship. AJ gets mad, and then that story builds from there. Aside from that, I don't really see how they can pull that one off.
I would say something along the lines, same way of that. What if we see maybe Shane McMahon assist AJ Styles in a victory, and AJ says, "I don't need your help to beat John Cena. You're doing nothing to help out my cause right now," thus leading the bickering blood feud between Shane McMahon and AJ Styles, because Shane was just trying to help his brand with what he feels is the future, not being John Cena, but being the younger in the WWE sense, AJ Styles. And with John Cena leaving, I could see them, Shane McMahon and AJ Styles getting into a feud simply because of the fact that AJ doesn't want help, and he's trying to show everybody, I don't need your help to prove that I am the best here. But Shane McMahon wanted to assure it.
I don't know about that because, there has really been no link to a possible Shane McMahon having a problem with John Cena kind of thing.
Yeah.
To set up that storyline. So, I mean, that would, kind of, I don't know, it might be a stretch, but really, I don't really know, other than either of those two scenarios, I'm not sure exactly how they would build that up. So that would be very interesting.
Yep.
But either way, wrestling a McMahon on the biggest show of the year definitely shows he's made it. So
you're doing something right.
Right. Not to say that AJ Styles didn't make it before, because obviously he made a very good living wrestling on TNA and the Indies and then New Japan before coming to WWE. But still, to be like, yeah, I wrestled Shane McMahon.
It's not the main event. It's not the main event, but it's a WrestleMania moment for sure. And I mean, Styles is going to be around for a little while. It seems like he's still got a lot of tread on the tires. Maybe he'll get that WrestleMania main event in a few years, but right now, it seems like the best thing for business is to give him a solid match to keep him white hot while the title bounces around, so they can get Cena to 17, and then maybe AJ Styles beats Cena or something like that in the future, and whatever it may be. But
not for nothing, I actually paid a little homage to AJ Styles yesterday yesterday as of this recording, in the match that I was in. I did a snapmare to somebody, and then I ran off the rope, and I while he was sitting down, I did a quick phenomenal forearm. But I did it from while he was in a seated position instead of, bouncing off the rope and doing like that. So it was kind of just it was just real quick. I just hit the rope and then kind of as quick as I could, threw out the legs, threw out the forearm, and hit him in the head. And that was my little homage to AJ Styles.
If one thing has never changed, John, you're still a show off.
I gotta be, man.
It's okay. I don't mind it. Now, the last thing to throw a cold shower on all you guys with the John Cena talk. The rumored match for John Cena at WrestleMania is John Cena versus Samoa Joe. Now, I mention this because a couple days ago, at the time of the recording, a few days ago, we get Cena versus Samoa Joe has, quote, something that has certainly been pitched, and the plan for Samoa Joe is to come up soon and be up for good. So obviously NXT the night before the Rumble is going to tell us a lot. If Samoa Joe wins, then obviously we're gonna calm down and we're gonna say, you know what, Samoa Joe's probably not coming. But if Samoa Joe loses, then we obviously know that there's a very strong possibility on Sunday, if not in the Rumble, at some point in time, Samoa Joe's going to show up, and we're going to get the WWE debut of Samoa Joe. But, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be mad about Samoa Joe and John Cena at WrestleMania just because, I mean, Samoa Joe has shown that, obviously, he's a fantastic wrestler. He can be a little dangerous, as we've seen him hurt a few people and get hurt himself. But I think if you want to make Samoa Joe look as good as possible, sticking him on the WrestleMania stage with John Cena is a fantastic idea.
Well, I'll see your point there, and I'll raise you. Look what happened with Kevin Owens and his brought up. When Kevin Owens was brought up, it was against John Cena. And they had a series of, Eric, keep me honest here, but I think it was like 3 or 4 matches.
Yeah, it was around 3 or 4.
That they just tore the roof off completely, and it really set the foundation for what Kevin Owens has.
And the thing was, no one was expecting Kevin Owens to come up and do that, especially with a guy like John Cena. And the first two matches, I really remember a lot of people going, well, we think it was John Cena that carried that, but anybody that knew Kevin Owens from the Indies knows he can go. And, to see him there.
No, let's not. I don't want to just say that, too, because that would discredit John Cena. And John
absolutely.
Cena very, very much work.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and John Cena's proved that with guys like Rusev. He's proved it with guys like CM Punk. Everybody. Roman Reigns. He made Roman Reigns look like solid gold. And
Roman Reigns can work, too.
Absolutely.
Don't let that
absolutely. So, that's that, especially with the family he comes from. Of course, he can definitely work. It's a matter of, a lot of these guys are good in their own respect, but being paired with John Cena, it's definitely not just the fact that they're with John Cena, but it is the rub, if you will, that they're pairing these guys off. They trust them well enough to say, hey, this was our guy for 10 years. Let's see what you got.
Plus, Cena gives them instant credibility too. That's just that at the end of the day, people who may not watch TNA or may not pay attention to NXT don't know who Samoa Joe is. And then Cena comes in and faces him, and it gives him the credibility, and that's exactly what you want to see. Now, moving off of WrestleMania, one more thing before we wrap this podcast up. This episode 99.5, the RumbleCast here, BLTD Sports, Better Live Than Dead podcast. One thing, you have more matches. You have the Rumble matches.
I have all the Rumble matches.
Okay, so first off, I guess we can run through the Rumble matches quick, although, again, in my opinion, the Rumble matches don't matter too much because usually we see where the Rumble... It's always the Rumble, and then the Raw after is the most lit, just because that's when the stories end and the new stories start.
I think there's a lot, though.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot in this Rumble that's important, and it's weird because I'm looking at the card right now, and the Rumble's supposed to be like 3-4 hours long. If not a little bit longer. I think the pre-show starts at 5 or 6, I think it starts. So looking at it right now, we've got 3 pre-show matches before the pay-per-view even starts. The first pre-show match, we're looking at Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax.
Which we obviously saw the 4-way. That's going to turn into a quadruple
and I think
4-way.
I think, that's going to be a must-win for Sasha Banks really right now for where she's at in her career. Pre-show match number 2, we're looking at Cesaro and Sheamus, the champions for the WWE Raw Tag Team Championships, going up against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the Club. Throw me up a 2 sweet.
Which at this point, with those guys, just a quick look into it. With Finn Balor coming back shortly, you almost wonder if maybe now because they've got a different. I mean, obviously Finn Balor's going to jump directly into the Universal Championship picture,
of course.
But at one point in time, are we going to get the Club, the actual Club?
Yeah, and I really hope that we do. But I mean, if we really look at it, we have essentially 3 members or three former leaders of the Club. Also, with a rumored Kenny Omega, maybe not.
I think that's more of a confirmed. Don't tell anybody at this point.
Yeah, because the thing is he's told everybody. We just talked about it this morning on the Pain Clinic. We talked about it. It was that he hasn't re-signed with New Japan. But he says he's not showing up at Royal Rumble.
And he just released some T-shirts. A friend of mine told me he released some T-shirts at Pro Wrestling Tees, and Pro Wrestling Tees said this shirt is going to be up until he joins WWE.
Oh,
so
no shit!
There's like get it while you can, because he's probably coming.
So that's crazy. Yeah,
that wouldn't surprise me.
He's one guy after his performance at Wrestle Kingdom, that 50 some odd minute 6-star Dave Meltzer scale match, like. Holy hell, that thing! If you haven't had a chance to watch Wrestle Kingdom and you got the few bucks to go pay for it and watch it, please,
the Gorillas,
means, yes, the whole show from top to bottom was amazing. But back to the Royal Rumble, the pre-show match 3, we have the team of Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella, and Naomi going against my personal favorite, 2 of my personal favorites, Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and Natalya in a 6-woman tag team match. And then we get to the actual main card of the Royal Rumble. So kicking off Royal Rumble the best way that they can, we have Rich Swann versus Bad Guy Neville. Bad Guy Neville, I don't know if Ryan, if you've seen Bad Guy Neville.
I love Neville's heel.
Bad Guy Neville's good.
Bad Guy Neville is amazing. If you didn't get to watch the WWE UK tournament, Neville was there, and we watched him go up against Tommy End. phenomenal match throughout. Tommy End looked like $1 million.
Don't spoil it for me, although I'm sure.
Please check it out. Please check it out. Neville's great. Tommy End was great. That whole tournament was also great, by the way. So once again, UK tournament. It's on the network. $9.99. Go check it out. That is for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. So it'll be see if Neville can handle it. Can he handle it?
He probably can.
Rich Swann.
He's probably going to
win. Let's see. We got Charlotte Flair versus Bayley. Charlotte Flair being the WWE Raw Women's Champion going into Royal Rumble.
What would be nice to see them put the strap on Bayley, but I think at this point Charlotte's going into WrestleMania the Women's Champion.
No, they would save that for WrestleMania.
Yeah, they would absolutely save it for Mania.
Sorry, real quick. That would be a moment.
Yes,
with Bayley, with the entire Citrus Bowl, whatever it is they're wrestling at, freaking out. That would be a
500,000 wacky inflatable arm flailing two men.
That would be a fantastic
what an
WrestleMania
entrance
moment.
The next match, which is this one's probably going to be one of my favorite matches of the night because it's Kevin Owens going in as the WWE Universal Champion against Roman Reigns with Chris Jericho suspended above the ring itself in a shark cage.
The best part, though,
I wonder if it's left shark or right shark.
Best that old school mentality.
We need though what will make the match for me will not be the match.
Yeah,
it will be if the cage is mic'd up like it was on Raw when Chris Jericho got locked in it. Because I want to be able to hear Chris Jericho's commentary above the ring throughout the entire match.
Oh, I think that would be
that would be hilarious.
That would be great.
Remember when it happened on Raw and he was screaming for 20 minutes?
Yep.
Get me down, get me down, get me down. Whatever. I want to see that during the match.
Yeah, and I mean, Kevin Owens proves that he can go. Roman Reigns has shown us he can go. And I honestly, it's weird. Roman Reigns has kind of made a LeBron James turn in my book. I hated LeBron James. Then I started to like LeBron James after he came back to Cleveland. And, Roman Reigns is starting to get to that point where I'm like, okay, this dude can really go.
Roman Reigns is still not the real.
Why don't we give him a chance and see what he can do?
Quiet. Roman Reigns is the real.
Shut up, you jabroni.
So, last match of the night before the Royal Rumble, we have AJ Styles as the champion going against John Cena for the WWE Championship. I think we see John Cena take this and tie the record.
That sounds good to me. I mean, I want to see AJ Styles continue, but yeah, John Cena's going to win.
Because realistically, what I'm thinking here,
no.
I think we see John Cena beating AJ Styles. We see AJ Styles maybe winning it back at Fastlane, and or John Cena losing it at Fastlane going into WrestleMania. Like you said, possibility of them not being champions going into WrestleMania, that would be the perfect time for them to lose it and send both in without the championship. And then I do have the 2017 Royal Rumble match. 22 of the 30 competitors already announced, leaving 8 spots open.
With that being said, that brings me to the point I was going to make a few minutes ago before we got into the card. Everybody gets one guy. Tell me the one wrestler you want to see in the Rumble match that has not been announced yet.
One guy that I want to see in there that has not been announced, I'm stuck between 2 actually, and then one unpopular one. So I'm gonna say I've held to this. I want to see Finn Balor return, and the reason I want to see him return is after his shoulder injury. We do see him on the network in the UK tournament. Just talking about the tournament with the likes of Nigel McGuinness. William Regal's presence there was amazing as well. But, we see Finn Balor on TV. He has been medically cleared. He's the one guy that I want to see there. Like I said, he is my popular choice to win it if he is in it. He is the guy that I am pulling for wholeheartedly. He's the one that I think, if he shows up, could take it all.
John, what about you?
For me, it's. Man, I've got a couple that I think that will happen. I know you've already mentioned Samoa Joe, and that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kenny Omega was talked about earlier as well, and it's kind of hard to not see a Kurt Angle debut. Coming back. He was already announced for the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
But it's kind of hard to not see Kurt Angle come back. But I am the guy that wants to see the guys from my youth coming back. So, I cheered when Diesel came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
And and I think that it's unlikely that we'll see Razor Ramon come out or something like that. But give me a honky tonk man.
Right.
Give me give me one of those guys. Give me a Brutus Beefcake. Give me one of those guys, and I'm happy as far as a surprise entrant. But I think that the likeliest, if it's not Finn Balor or maybe Ty Dillinger, then probably Kurt Angle.
I want Ty Dillinger at number 10. If Ty Dillinger doesn't come out at number 10, I might turn off the pay-per-view.
That would make sense.
I want my personal one for nostalgic purposes, Kurt Angle. And there's logic behind it, because every other time the Fed has announced a Hall of Fame inductee that was a former superstar, or a current superstar at that rate, because obviously he signed a contract, he's coming back in some fashion. They've always returned on Raw. They've always had their moment to come out, thank the fans, all that stuff. Kurt Angle hasn't come back yet. Perfect time.
Well, the returns usually don't happen until the day after WrestleMania.
Well, the perfect time for Kurt Angle to show up and reintroduce himself to the WWE Universe is at the Royal Rumble. And it would tear the roof off that place. Because, and not to mention, selfishly, I really want them to start selling those "You Suck, Kurt Angle" t-shirts again, because I really want one. Selfishly.
That's okay.
So, lastly, I am going to go over here who we have announced for the Royal Rumble. So we know the 22 that have been announced, leaving, like I said, the 8 open. So from Raw, we're looking at Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Chris Jericho, Braun Strowman, Cesaro, Sheamus, Big Show, Sami Zayn, Big Cass, Rusev. And then to go over to SmackDown here, we got Baron Corbin, Dean Ambrose, The Miz, who I think is very underestimated going into this Royal Rumble and could possibly take the whole thing. Dolph Ziggler, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, your personal favorite, Luke Harper, and Mojo Rawley. With The Undertaker being the unassigned superstar of the group, not a Raw or SmackDown guy. So I think that would also, like, when we were going over Undertaker winning, that would be interesting. Do they open it up to say you have the ability to choose who you want to go to now, because you're technically an unsigned free agent, if you will?
If Undertaker won, I think he would get the choice of whoever he wanted. But the one thing I was going to say too, looking back at Big Show and Shaq, I would not be surprised to see Shaquille O'Neal show up at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
and be one of those 8. It'd be kind of a cheap out. But, it's going to make sense, because even if Shaq comes out and distracts Big Show and gets eliminated himself, it sets up the storyline. There you go. I mean, the storyline's already there, but, they want to continue to just rub it in our face. John, have we lost you?
I'm sorry. Say that one more time. I'm running around the house getting the dog.
You're okay. You're okay. We can
down the fourth wall here.
Like I said, we can wrap this up. I was just about to start wrapping this up, but I don't want to keep it too long, because I've already had you for a little while here. But
I heard you mention something about Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq might show up. I'm thinking Shaq might be one of the 8 surprise, just to continue the storyline between Big Show and Shaq. But whatever that may be,
that wouldn't be overly shocking.
It's not far fetched.
It would make sense from the storyline purposes. Although they've done a pretty good job of selling, especially on .com and the Facebook and all of that stuff, that the match is actually happening, and you see Big Show, showing gym selfies, saying, "Hey Shaq, look at this," and that. So the WWE universe knows that the match is coming. But yes, to have Shaq be a surprise entrant into the Royal Rumble and then cost Big Show or be eliminated or something like that, I think that for storyline purposes, that would really serve a really good purpose.
I agree, and we're going over our who we think might be the mysteries. Somebody like Shaq would be interesting. The only thing I see being an issue with it is, in a time where spots are kind of sacred. I'm just looking at the final 8, and I don't think Shaq. I think he might be a ringside distraction, kind of like Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. I don't think he'd be somebody they actually put in there as a spot in the Rumble. We could see
or Lawrence Taylor into the 95 or 96 Rumble for Bam Bam Bigelow.
Who's going to come back at the Royal Rumble?
James Ellsworth.
CM Punk.
You know what's funny is I actually brought that up this morning to Dan Cole. I said, "What's the next CM Punk fight?
Back.
What's the next CM Punk UFC fight?" Oh, what? Nothing's been announced. UFC hasn't said anything about him. He's only ever talked about hockey on Twitter.
Just keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for CM Punk. He's at the All-Star game right now. Keep an eye on CM Punk.
I've heard about him at Bellator.
Really?
I've heard about him possibly trying to get into Bellator because UFC's not going to put him on another pay.
No, they won't.
They might put maybe they might put him on a fight night on UFC's network.
Tonight they've got a fight night on Fox too. Yeah.
Oh, I'm watching it.
I think they got a four card show on Fox tonight.
Something like that.
So, it'll be interesting. There's just so many different people they can bring up. A lot really has to go into NXT TakeOver tonight to really help predict who may be coming up from NXT for Royal Rumble. We could see Shinsuke Nakamura, which I think would be amazing to see Shinsuke Nakamura on the main roster.
God, yes, I love that dude.
Going against the likes of Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, all them. Bobby Roode was another one that was brought up to me today that I didn't even think about. How awesome would it be to see Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura both in the main roster for WrestleMania?
With Bobby Roode's new gimmick, absolutely.
Glorious. It'd be glorious.
It's an amazing gimmick he's got.
Well, Nakamura is just an incredible talent.
And that's one of the names that's been with the dirt sheets have been rumored saying keep an eye out for him because he may make his debut. I think no matter what, we're going to get Nakamura and Samoa Joe. We're going to get Samoa Joe no matter what. But I think if Nakamura wins, we may get a debut, but he may not stick around.
Yeah.
But I think if Samoa Joe doesn't win the title, Samoa Joe's here for good. But Nakamura may be a little longer, but I think he debuts no matter what.
I'm selfishly really wanting a Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania. That's really what I want. It
might be too far-fetched right now, but it's something we'll see.
Do you think that Dixie Carter would be wanting that?
Dixie Carter will be rolling over in TNA's grave if she sees Samoa Joe, AJ Styles on WWE WrestleMania.
Wrestling in front of 80,000 people when they wrestled in front of 80 people at TNA.
Exactly.
I mean, here's the thing with TNA too. TNA's got their own stuff going on right now, and I can't discredit them because they're still making more money than I am with wrestling.
They've got broken Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy single-handedly saved that company.
Absolutely.
Until Matt Hardy's contract is up in February and he comes back to WWE.
Broken Matt Hardy.
We'll see. I don't know. I like the vibe that I'm getting from Anthem Sports and Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
With them, and they're listening to the people. They're listening to everybody saying, okay, it's time to go away from the TNA acronym. Total nonstop action wrestling. So I'm expecting a full rebrand in 2017.
I think they're just going by Impact Wrestling now. I don't think they're even doing TNA Impact. I think it's just Impact Wrestling.
That's exactly what they should be doing.
So, I know they rebranded their website. It's Impact Wrestling. Everything on there is Impact Wrestling. Their only problem right now is they don't have a major network to be on, and I think that's what's really hurting them. Is the network they're on is only available to certain people. So
it's only available for me as a Time Warner Cable customer on demand.
Yeah, I think they were down. They only had like 310,000 viewers or something like that. Or there's 305,000 viewers.
All I heard was Matt Hardy's child beat a guy.
Yes, on Total Nonstop Deletion.
They could possibly, and here's something that I just actually read earlier today. Lucha Underground is thinking of leaving El Rey Network in favor of Netflix.
Wow,
that would be cool.
That would probably be a real good move for an Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, and that's
follow suit.
That would be great because, here's the thing. And Lucha Underground, I think it would work because Lucha Underground is shot more like a movie than it is a wrestling show. It honestly, watching Lucha Underground, the way they do their promos, their backstage stuff, is all very similar to, watching a movie about a wrestling show. Some guy won a power gauntlet.
That's why I've had such a hard time getting into it. And I know Luis Perez has even said on this very podcast, actually, I don't remember exactly how many episodes ago, but
he said it multiple times.
When he said, John says he can't get into Lucha Underground, and I think he's crazy. Well, that's the exact reason why. Is that I feel like I'm watching a wrestling sitcom instead of watching a wrestling show.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
No, it absolutely does.
Because, it just seems to me like it's so unauthentic. And I know that wrestling is a work and wrestling isn't quote unquote real or any of that type of stuff. But, there's WWE and Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor and New Japan. They do their best to suspend the disbelief.
Yep, absolutely.
And while you are watching it, make you think that it's real, whereas I don't feel that Lucha Underground has fully grasped that, nor do they care.
I always tell people at the end of the day, and this is a good place to wrap up the podcast here, I always tell people at the end of the day, it's not about the wrestling that I watch, because wrestling is wrestling is wrestling. Matches are good. They've gotten a lot better with the talent that's gotten better. But I always watch for the story. If you can tell me a good story, I will watch 7 days out of 7 as much as I possibly can if the story's great. If the story sucks, there's no interest there.
Exactly.
But
Absolutely.
I want to point out again, I'm Ryan Wolfe at Wolfe BLTD. Joining me on the line, John Cimino at the JC Money, Eric Emanon in studio at Eric Emanon on Twitter. You can follow BLTD Sports at BLTD Sports, Facebook.com/BLTD Sports. Check out the website also, BLTDsports.com. I want to say...
And making a late podcast appearance, Miss Emma over here in her Hatchimal.
I want to thank you guys for joining me today and sharing your Royal Rumble and WrestleMania picks. We can do this again. How about sometime around WrestleMania, and we'll catch up and see how right we were.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? WrestleMania season is typically when the Talking Wrestling podcast comes on, and Eric has been a guest multiple times on Talking Wrestling throughout the course of the Talking Wrestling history. So I would certainly, if you guys wanted to, I'll be more than welcome to have you guys on Talking Wrestling as well anytime.
Absolutely.
Any sort of wrestling, I think that would be pretty sweet. So,
Amen.
But yes, absolutely, let's do it. I could talk wrestling for hours.
Right.
And that's the thing is, for as much of the extracurricular stuff that I do outside of wrestling, and yesterday aside being the first time I was in an actual wrestling ring and venue for the first time in 5 years, wrestling's always been my first love. So I could talk about it for eons. So
that's what we enjoy. But hey, for BLTD 99 and a half,
99.5.
I am Ryan Wolfe saying we are better live than dead.
You're not.
That is correct. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Friends over at BLTD Sports, thanks for tuning in. GERE Network as well. 716 Sports Network as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody, we appreciate the support so much. Thank you again for tuning in, and we will catch you sometime very soon.
Peace.
Shut up, Eric.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the GERE Network.